scrapped himself a much-needed victory at Lime Rock Park and showed he can take the fight back to Holland. But the road to the points lead still has more for Greg to traverse. To reach the top of the mountain, he'll need to beat David on track again. With Imola being notorious for difficult overtakes, will qualifying decide their fates before the green flag even falls? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the PRL Formula 3 series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. After years hosting Formula 1, Imola has found itself winding down into sports cars, lower-tier open-wheelers, and motorcycles once again. But fans still revere this place as one of the greats in the world of racing. To find out why, let's head down to our track guide. Welcome to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, but most race fans know this place as simply Imola. This circuit in the northern part of Italy has seen some of the highest highs and lowest lows in motorsports history. The various tragedies that have marred the track left no choice but to alter it in the name of safety. While it originally featured mostly fast, sweeping corners, its modern 3-mile or 5-kilometer version is punctuated by tricky chicanes and incredibly technical turns. iRacing includes the Grand Prix layout and a moto version, which adds one more chicane to the front stretch. Tamburello is perhaps the most notorious of the corners for claiming the life of multi-time world champion Ayrton Senna when it was still a single breathtaking turn. Now the Triple Apexer not only offers potential passing opportunities, but catches out drivers quite frequently. While heavy braking zones are everywhere, because few places allow the cars to get up to speed, overtaking is generally seen as an exercise in frustration. As if to almost counteract this quality, the track itself is situated in a gorgeous public park and sends the drivers through the beautifully calming Italian countryside. It also includes a fair bit of elevation change in which the track is split between the higher up back half and the lower first portion. It's no wonder that this place still proves popular with drivers and fans in spite of its difficulties in history. The Tifosi keep returning each and every time the sound of engines roar among the trees, and who can blame them? There you see, it really is beautiful around here with the park that it is settled into, but officially, Nick, they call it Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, and that to me is a little bit of a mouthful compared to what everybody else calls it.
Yeah, I'm glad you pronounced that for me because we're just going to be referring to this tonight as Imola. 3 miles, 5-kilometer circuit, 17 turns here in the north of Italy. And, you know, elevation change, it's not going to bother these cars like you might think since they're so low to the ground. What is going to bother them is where you find that elevation change, like Acqua Minerale. Watch for the stack up through there. Places like Tosa and Ravazza, though, they have elevation change, but they're going to be great passing zones. The big thing to keep an eye out for at this track with these cars is the curbs that are going to get you and the fact that not many of these turns have much runoff.
Yeah, it certainly has captured a few people over the years. Attrition sometimes can play a little bit of a role, but before we get to that, let's talk about our sponsor, NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Also, today's race is brought to you by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, let's head over to the championship points. As I mentioned before, it is closed down between Holland and Seitz. In fact, it is only 7 points between them now after Holland took that victory. So, as I said, he's not up to the top yet. He's got to beat him some more, at least going to the checkered flag. He doesn't necessarily have to win, but he has to finish ahead of David. Mauricio Cuero is back there in third, but he's still waiting on getting his first win this season. Samuel Hermer in fourth is followed by David Soroy. They're starting to get a little bit spread apart from third, fourth to fifth here at the fourth round in, so it looks like it will be once again a 2-horse race. Now, for that team's championship, though, Nick, how's that looking?
Well, it looks like it might be a 2-horse race over here as well. You have those 3 teams, third, fourth, and fifth there. They are quite a ways out for now because David Holland and Vantage Azzurro, He's on top with those 2 wins, but he's only 2 points over Seitz's Rust Racing Iron. It's going to be very tight up there, and those 2 drivers have been commanding their teams in the team's standing so far this season.
Now, in case we have viewers who are tuning in for the first time, the PRL F3 series has got some good racing going on, but here exactly is what you should expect. We are in round 4 out of 10, as I said, and there are 45-minute races in this series, so essentially kind of like a sprint. It's open setup in these cars. Now, they have a stop and go at 11 incidents, so you'll be sent into the pits, and at 20, you will actually be disqualified. You will be removed from the track immediately. You'll literally disappear. They've got bonus points that you can see down at the bottom. That's how you get those few. So we can't always rely on the finishing position to figure out who gets what points. So we need to check those afterwards to see what is official. And we're watching this, as always, on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. Very easy to do so. If you just look below the video in YouTube and you see a red button, it'll say subscribe. Click that. You won't miss a moment here on IESN. Qualifying underway, and what I find fascinating here is that Sam Hermer is on provisional pole, but Greg Seitz and David Holland were the ones that were leading the timing in practice. And we'll speak of the devil. Greg Seitz back up to the pole position just now.
Holland actually just got bumped down to 6th place as well. He's just coming across the line now, so he might be putting in a better time. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, they had an off track or something there. Might still be getting those tires warmed up as the Texan driver comes down into Tamburello. Now, you talked about the curbs around here. Tamburello's definitely got a few of them. You can see those big pills that they have to the inside. I'm kind of worried about the damage to these cars that could wreak if they get too greedy.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it before in this series. They kind of have those turtle curbs that you see here. You call them pills. The curbs themselves are pretty flat, but then they put those turtles right on top of them, and that is really going to wreak havoc because you're gonna feel your way over the curb. You're gonna think you're okay, and then boom, you're gonna hit one of those. And we've ripped a suspension, something in the side skirt, something in the wing. It's not gonna be okay. And I see David Holland actually just got over a few of them as well.
And just coming off the exit there of Tamburello, and I think he realizes it himself because he parked the car, so maybe it does do some damage because he didn't feel safe continuing on. We will have time to continue as we watch Legault coming around Ravazza. Now, it looks like he might get a bit of a tow. He's up behind Crew, but he won't want to be behind him for this next lap. Let's see what this one looked like for Olivier as he gets ready to cross the line. That's going to be a 1:37.7. That's his fastest, but it actually takes him back to where he was sitting before. He got bumped to 16th, and now he's back to 14th again.
And you mentioned when David Holland actually went to the pits that he might have had some damage. You can also get some off tracks over those bumps as well, over those curbs, especially through Tamburello in the first couple of turns in this in the first sector here at Imola. With only 11 incident points giving you a stop and go penalty, this is one of those tracks that you kind of think of like Spa, where you're really going to have to watch out for those off tracks.
Just watch Sam Hermer come across the line. He did not improve. He's still got about a 10th and a half to go. McDonald's, looks like he's going to go quicker, so that takes him up from 17th to 10th. That is quite a climb. Got a few spots that are actually very closely contested. I'm looking at 4th place with Soroy. Cuero is only half a tenth behind him. Then you've got 15 100ths back to Mitchell Green back there, and then it's another 0.13 back to Kranefuss in 7th. So that is incredibly close quarters between those drivers. So we could see that swap around. Oh, and Greg is going to have to get back out in a hurry to get those tires up to temperature. He just lost it coming out of Ravazza. Let's watch Cuero. Now, we were talking about him just a moment ago, how he's trying to overtake Soroy, and he doesn't have a huge margin to do so. 36.690 becomes a 36.537. That'll do it. That puts him up to 4th. Soroy is not able to respond, unfortunately, so he'll stay in 5th place. Still 3rd row for David. That is well up the order. And I'm thinking being up the order in this qualifying, not only important because of what I was talking about before, the difficulty passing, Nick, but I've called so many races here at this time. At this point, I feel like it's almost expected that something's going to happen in Tamburello on the first lap.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of times the drivers that actually cause that getaway unscathed, because Tamburello, just the nature of the kind of chicane, I guess you can call it, it causes a big domino effect, a big stack up. And a lot of times it'll be the innocent bystanders back through the mid part of the field. That's why I'm kind of nervous about David Holland back here. He's back in ninth right now. Just can't put a clean lap together in qualifying. A lot of big names still in the middle of the field. They've got to watch out for that on lap one.
If I recall correctly, and we're watching Kranefuss now in the 55. As he crosses, it's not going to be a lap that counts for him either. I was going to say that if I recall correctly, I think that Holland didn't qualify well at Lime Rock Park as well. I think it was at around 5th or 6th somewhere, which
Yeah,
for him
P5.
is not qualifying well. Yeah. But for everybody else, that's, a great day.
Yeah.
So David Holland, as he comes down in that 9th place, a 36.718. That's going to be a little better, but that's only up to 8 for him. So Roy got a tow, but that doesn't improve his lap time. Bacigalupo also did not. That must have been an outlap because that looked a little bit slow from him. What about Santana and the 666? A 53.4, that's also an outlap for him, it looks like. So Raymond Day, boy, that's another driver that used to be much farther up. A 37 flat is his quickest, and that's going to get him into 11th, but still quite a bit of work to do with very little time to do it. So right now, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, Greg Seitz still your provisional pole sitter with Hermer. And Hermer, I think, might be done with qualifying because he just wrecked in Tamburello himself. So I'm not sure if he'll have time to get around and really get a good one in. Rod Clenard is still going. He's gotten himself up into 3rd recently with a 36.4. That's going to bump McDonald down to 4th.
Yeah, I think you'd be able to go just about right now, maybe about 10 seconds ago, and then maybe get one lap in. I think this is a little bit too long for Hermer, but now we're watching David Holland using every inch of the track and the runoff there. Moving on to the front straightaway.
136.7 was last time. This time through a 36.1.
Much quicker.
That is significantly better. And in fact, it's a 10th off of our leader, and that puts him into 3rd, 6/1000ths away from Hermer. He could easily sneak onto the front row. Seitz trying to get himself a little farther away from Holland to see if he can increase that time gap, but not this time. So Rod Clenard out of Ravazza getting the speed wound up on this thing. 130 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour as he gets ready to cross the line. 36.430, about 1/100th quicker. That's not going to get him ahead of Holland, unfortunately.
And he's still 3/10 off of the podium right now.
Let's see, who's this? We got Kranefuss coming down through the double left-hander in 9th place for that number 55. He's got 8/10 to make up to our pole sitter, and he's going to have one more chance to do it if he can keep this next lap clean. This one, is much faster, 36.6, but that'll only jump him to 7th. Incredibly, he improved that by, more than half a second there. Time is running out, and the clock is now to 0. So that means Josh Daniels is going to be our first to take the checkered flag. He's currently in 17th. He's going to be followed by David Holland. For Daniels, he improved to a 37.7, and Holland was a 36 flat. Wow. So front row for him in the end, unless someone is able to jump him here. Greg Seitz, who will be starting ahead of him regardless, is going to try one last time, and that is a 36 flat. So nicely done by the 74 to put one more stamp down. Can Clenard try and deny David Holland that front row start? It's going to take quite a jump from him here. And it's not going to be enough at 36.416. It's going to keep him in fourth, even though that is his best yet. DePratt winds up going to a 37.5, and that's actually a bit of a jump up to 13th for him. Mitchell Ian Green, I think, is our last runner here in the qualifying, because I think we've already had Richards cross. I'll double check on that. Green's got a 36.7 as his fastest. That put him into 7th place. Soroy ahead of him is only 7/100ths up the road. Is this going to be good enough? Small margins again. 36.6, and that will indeed put him up to 7th.
By 1,000th of a second over Cranefoos, too.
Now, Christopher Richards, I'm trying to recall if he crossed the checkered flag already. Let's find out here, see if he intends to try and finish this one, as he's definitely taking it wide and pushing it. Nope, he's going to call it a day, and Richards is in the pits as he takes out a cone in the process. Let's go through that starting grid. And Greg Seitz, once again, showing he's no longer afraid of David Holland, but Holland is nipping at his heels. He's going to be starting to his outside here. Then Sam Hermer starting P3 will be flanked by Rod Clenard. David McDonald starts in 5th with Mauricio Cuero in 6th position. Mitchell Green, 7th for him, followed by Daniel Cranefoos in 8th and David Soroy in 9th. Outside of row 5 has Stephen Verity in 10th.
Row number 6 right behind them is going to be made up of the 77 of Raymond Day and the 84 of Lucas Bastigalupo. Lionel DuPratt, he's going to have Baker's dozen position, and the top 15 will be rounded out by Alex Gayan and Kevin Santana. Behind them, row number 8 going to be finished off by Josh Daniels, Olivier Legault, and Mark Ponick going to be behind them in 17th and 18th. Outside of them in the top 20 is going to be Brett Thurman and Matt Quinn.
Sheldon Rosenbaum starts P21 today with Sebastian Prue in 22nd. Then you've got Christopher Richards to the inside of the next row. Owen McLaughlin, P24. And then the last 3 to take qualifying times is Lauren Sebastian, David Blackwood, and David A. Bear, the 25th, 26th, and 27th. The ones that did not put times in are Don Lee, Jerome Bertome, Matthew Gunderson, Tyler Gore, and Daniel Barnett. And I'm not seeing any of them missing from our time in scoring except for Bertome. So we should have 31 starters rather out here today. So a relatively packed field. Hopefully everybody can get through Tamburello okay. You can see them now lining up on the grid. It is not a straight pitch straight here. It weaves and winds its way back and forth, and that can sometimes cause trouble as drivers try to draft each other and figure out which way they want to go around and which way they want to defend. We're just waiting on our pole sitter Seitz, who now plops his car out there. Cuero, Prue, Daniels, the last few that are going to work their way out to the grid. This is going to be possibly a decisive one in the championship, because now momentum is back in favor of Greg Seitz. Engines start to rev as, oh, no, not quite yet. I thought we had everybody out there. Looks like we're still missing just a couple. Now we got them out there. Engines are up. Lights are up. Green flag is out. Off the line. Seitz not looking the greatest, but at least has his nose ahead of Holland. Holland immediately trying to get into the toe to see if he can do anything side by side behind him between Hermer and looks like Clenard. Clenard's going to easily get ahead of him. Oh, a little bit of a slip up though, and that was from Mitchell Green. However, behind them, it is a clean start.
Yeah, Samuel Hermer, he had the inside, but he's actually going to fall quite a bit. David McDonald almost able to get around him there.
Ooh, car off, back behind them, a couple cars off, and one into the wall. I didn't quite catch who that was, but it was Legault. So we'll go back to him in a bit. But in the meantime, the race is on for the lead and very much taking liberties with the track. Seitz going extremely wide through Piratella, and David Holland just all over him.
Yeah, he's actually able to extend that just a little bit as they go up the hill. Holland's going to have to chase him down here. Deep
Up
on the brakes.
into Alta. Both of them being careful not to get a slowdown penalty through here. Starting to spread out a little bit. Things very stacked up. Oh, and Josh Daniels having an issue, I think, as well.
McDonald.
No, David McDonald. Oh, and a
over the
very bad
curbs.
rejoin from him as well.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that replay in a bit. As we come back to our leaders finishing the first lap, Greg Seitz, who looked under extreme pressure at first, has got himself a little bit safer now, about half a second at the line. Rod Clenard, a second behind them, currently in third. Sam Hermer losing out there at the start. He's down to fourth place and dropping away. David Soroy as well, not looking like he's a threat. So I think we've gotten things calmed down a little bit. Let's start off with Legault here and see what happened. This was out of Villeneuve, and I'm not sure if he had some help or if he just got loose here. Oh, that was some help.
That was Mark Koenig right in front of him. Kind of giving that little wheel tap. Right there.
Oh, Koenig caught the curb, and that sent him into him.
Ah,
So
he did.
Poor Legault. Yeah, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the other one was McDonald, I believe, that had issues out of Alta. Let's see, it looks like we got the play here. Here we go. You said he got the curb here? Oh.
I think he was trying to avoid the stack up in front of him. Raymond Day, I see in front of him. Mitchell Ian Green a little bit ahead of him.
That's that rejoin that I did not like from him, unfortunately.
I don't think
But
he liked
nobody
it
hit
either.
him. He does get it going. Where is he sitting right now, though? I'm trying to find him in the time and scoring. Looks like he is in 21st, and
Kevin Santana just got by him, yeah.
Yeah, so he must be dealing with a little bit of damage after that. You see Santana already working on the next car up. That is David Blackwood. Let's see if this is a good enough exit. Get a little bit of a slipstream here on the main straight as and McDonald going to get that damage repaired, it seems. To the inside, Kevin Santana. He already got one position so far this lap. And there's a car off in front of them. He's going to stay out of the way. That was
Christopher Richards.
3 spots for Kevin Santana. Man, he's having a good lap there. Richards, there's caught the last half of that incident. Notice Santana going by him as we come back live. He's now stretching away from David Blackwood already. So let's jump up a little bit higher, back on our leaders. Greg Seitz now up to 9/10 ahead of David Holland. Really, our first battle that we've got is for 10th. That's Verdi and Gaillon, a little bit behind them.
Gaillon has been a pretty big mover so far. Started back in 14th. He's moved up 3 spots, trying to get in the top 10. He's definitely got the momentum.
So can he get this one from Verdi? We're watching from his perspective. Alex off of Ravazza, both of them using up as much of that AstroTurf as they can. I don't think he's going to be able to get the slipstream that he wants down the front stretch, but it still at least keeps him within range. Starts to close up and comes down to about 0.4 of a second and then runs out of straightaway here. Already past 5 minutes into this race. We've lost Olivier Legault, and I think Matthew Gunderson seems to be in the pits for a long time for what appears to be repairs, but I don't know what happened to him. McDonald is back out and running after a brief moment of banging on the carbon fiber. Just behind this, we've got a bit of a train forming. This is Duprat, Honeck, Daniels, and you could almost involve Thurman in this back in 15th too.
Yeah, big gaps in between these drivers right now. about half a second each.
This is, I would almost say, the normal thing for a track like this. Is, I talk about it a lot already. It's difficult to try and overtake around here, and it seems like a lot of drivers are finding that to be true very early in the race, despite starting at close distances to one another. Very much a stalemate here in this little group that we're following for what should be 12th place. Up at the front, Holland's starting to close down a little bit.
Just put up the fastest lap.
A second. Ooh, he did. Yeah, there at the top of your screen. Good catch. Well, he's responding now, and he's trying to apply some pressure to Greg. So can Greg deal with this for all race long, or is Holland maybe going to fall away later on? And Greg's, maybe Greg will find his setup coming to the fore. We ride on board now with our multi-time champion, David Holland.
There, he's got to close down about 0.3 of a second from when we last saw him. Sight's going a little bit wide there. Well, Holland's going to follow.
You see Monkey do. And you talked about the elevation changes at this track. This really gives you a good sense because we're just about at the driver's eye level. And you can see how little you can see over some of these crests.
You see using all the curbs there as well. Very easy wrap portion of the track right there. I think that's probably the easiest part of the track here at Imola to get a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, any chicane, I have to imagine it'll be susceptible to finding yourself in that situation as now they come off of Ravazza down the front stretch, and Greg Seitz still keeping David Holland at arm's length, not able to do anything with it. And did we miss something with Santana? I thought he was higher up than 19th, and I'm seeing him in 19th now. Or am I just remembering wrong? Let me check his laps here. Oh,
he had a couple of offs, but I don't see him losing position because of it. Wonder if he's dealing with some damage.
I see. He disappeared on my screen for a bit. So it could be a connection issue that cost him that. That would be.
Oh, you know what? I think I
though.
caught a slowdown penalty quite a few laps ago for him.
As we come back to this battle for 14th, Thurman. I said you could consider him a part of the fight. Well, he's reeled in Josh Daniels even more. We ride on board with Thurman, the SRT machine, swinging it around Tosa and then up the very steep climb here to Piratella. These two also could maybe try something on Mark Honig if we see Honig make a mistake.
Honig went a little bit wide there. You got to know the track here well. You got to know the track limits too, because there's a lot of AstroTurf and runoff that you are allowed to use.
We've seen the leaders use quite a bit of it, and that might explain some of their speed compared to these drivers who are essentially mid-packers. Really a lot of curb from all three cars there, getting aggressive on it. And Brett Thurman deals with it well as he comes away, having gained a lot of footage on the 07. I don't think he can attack down into Ravazza, though. Maybe, Nick, he can set himself up for the exit onto the pit straight?
It's so hard, like you said, that front stretch here, the pit straight, it's not straight at all. He kind of weaves back and forth, and he went a little bit wide there as well.
As we watch from over the rear wing, Daniels is being reeled in, but Brett Thurman doesn't have the top speed. He starts to stall out, so he's going to stay in 15th place. The opportunities are not going away, though, as we got a problem with David Blackwood down in Ravazza. So let's go see what happened here. Looks like
he's all by himself.
Yeah. Ooh, yep.
Well,
brake rotor was glowing and unfortunately covered in sand. Oh, and then he spins
that's
it
the
for
big
good measure.
Yeah.
That's why he fell down multiple positions himself. That's going to promote Sheldon Rosenbaum up to 21st because of that mistake. Can see that Blackwood is able to keep it going. Now Kevin Santana trying to charge back through and get some of those spots right back, and he's caught up to Lauren Sebastian in 18th position. They come out of Aqua Minerale up to Alta Chicane.
Sebastian, just one of the 2 European drivers in this field. Not quite sure you could call it a home track. He's one of the Benelux drivers, but a lot more home than the competition.
Yeah, it's a little far away. Oh, and Santana loses it under braking, but then somehow catches it. Oh, and then what happens here? Pulls over, and Lawrence just lets both cars through. That's 2 positions he literally handed away.
And all of a
Did
sudden,
Lawrence lose
Mauricio
control
Cuero
of
jumped in as well.
Trying to figure out what happened here.
Huh.
Saw the car swerving. Oh, okay. He did put a wheel off, so I think Lawrence maybe lost control of the car. It was just very odd timing for everything. And it did give Santana a position as well as, well, now that wasn't for position. That was Cuero. Or no, it was. No, Cuero just got by Santana.
Yeah, Cuero's back there.
He had just gotten the position so quick. I looked back at my timing and scoring. I said, well, where's the car that got by? We were on the replay and focused on that. So Mauricio Cuero still moving back upwards, and he started in 6th place, remember. He was down to 19th before. This promotes him up to 18th at this point. Oh, and behind him, that was Santana. And poor Lawrence had to take evasive action off track just to get by.
Wheel spin going uphill. Looks like you can see just how quick a reaction that was for Sebastian getting around him through the grass.
Absolutely. It's a good thing that he was able to react that quickly, or else we would have had a big impact. Meanwhile, on screen, this is David Holland, and Greg Seitz is about 7/10 ahead of him. You can see the gap there on screen. It's not huge. But again, Greg using what seems like maybe the wake of the car to keep Greg back. And Greg's just not been close enough to try and attack yet.
Yes, seems like this track with these cars, you can't get a run on them very well, because we're seeing this half a second, 0.6 of a second buffer between everyone.
Yeah, and as they work their way along, we've still got 30 minutes left to go, so we're a third of the way through. Apparently poor David McDonald has had some horrible woes today, because not only did he get some damage, but his steering wheel came off in real life. So, whoops. Meanwhile, battle on screen here. Looks like this is Blackwood once again. Ooh, as he goes a little wide through Tosa. That's David A. Bear behind him chasing.
David Blackwood just got by a Bear. Remember, he's recovering. This is for 23rd. Goes a little wide again.
Yes, he should probably leave David behind, I would imagine, unless he's got damage on that car. And Owen McLaughlin's got an issue in Ravazza. He's off track. I think he's going to lose a spot to Lauren Sebastian. He does indeed. There's Sebastian going through. What happened to McLaughlin? Is this a similar issue?
Yeah, he was under a lot of pressure from Mauricio Cuero here. They never made contact, but I think he might have just been a little distracted.
For being a corner that's literally two 90-degree corners, I feel like this is a deceptively hard bit of turns.
It definitely is. You don't expect that runoff, but if you want to hit that runoff and take it, you got to go over the curbs, and then you got to come back over them to hit your apex for the second turn. It's like you said, it looks simple, but it's a lot more difficult than it may look.
So we come back live, and Rosenbaum now up to 19th as well, getting by Owen. Ooh, and Holland seems to have lost a little bit of ground. He was
Yeah.
down to 7/10, and it's back up to 1.2. Last lap was a 36.8. So it's almost a half a second slower than the previous one. Not super drastic, but maybe a little bobble somewhere.
Yeah, he's looked clean the last couple laps. I've been watching him. Sights has just been really on it. He's had a couple of great laps. This is the biggest gap, like you said, that we have seen so far between these two in this race.
That, that gap is looking pretty similar in a lot of places around the track. Most drivers really getting themselves just a little bit of space to kind of do their own thing at this point. It almost makes me wonder if Sights is going to be getting up to traffic soon, and I think the next one up is going to be Daniel Barnett, who is still running. In fact, the last car running right now in 26. And that's maybe, actually, that could be another 4 more laps, and he'll catch up to him. Can't quite see him from the blimp shot yet, but I assure you, he's a little ways up the road. Looking down at 21st place, Christopher Richards and Don Lee got something going here.
Don Lee is one of those drivers that he didn't qualify. He's trying to charge up through the field. He's got 6 spots so far, it looks like.
Yeah, Don Lee's the one in the white and red that you see on your screen, and then the green and red, that is Christopher Richards. Certainly applying a little bit of pressure at this point. So, and Christopher Richards, again, being extremely liberal with the track boundaries, but that was grass out there past that AstroTurf, so that could have easily sent him spinning. Don Lee sees that error, and he continues to close in, try and see if he could get another mistake and maybe open up an opportunity for a pass. Here we get on the helmet cam of Don Lee now. Defensive move from Christopher Richards before he moves back to the racing line. He's really looking out of sorts in a few ways. The slidey run through the chicane. Don Lee still not able to quite take it.
Richards seems to be a lot more focused on defending this position than he is putting together a couple of clean turns.
I wonder if that might be his downfall. And this is a pretty decent exit here from the number 71. Don Lee could get himself enough of a toe that he could try and attack down into Tamburello. Here we go, past the start-finish line, past the pit exit, towards the braking. He's got a big head of steam, but he doesn't have the right side of the track. So he brakes and stays behind Christopher Richards, at least for the time being.
Thought he might have a big run out of there, but it looks like he got in the wake of Richards' car just a little bit and threw him off. Now he's got a big run into here, late on the brakes.
Well, he's trying everything he can to get this spot away. Just nothing is quite working. You know, it's in this time that I kind of wonder why we don't see more drivers, especially at a track like this, use that early pit strategy. Lee's probably not going to find himself caught up in much because he's towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, he's quite a ways out of the action. He's got a huge gap in front of this to the top 20s. This might very well be all he's going to be able to fight for in the time we have left in 25 minutes. I agree. I think he should try an early pit strategy and try to sneak one by.
At this point, if he's stuck like this, he might as well give it a go. Let's stay with this until the pit entry and see if he is listening to the broadcast and agrees with our assessment. 24 minutes left to go, so we're just about at halfway. It's not that insanely early of a pit stop. Ooh, that was another
Lee looks
decent...
good there.
Yeah. He does not pit. Maybe he thinks he's got the toe. It's 0.4 of a second. Now down to 0.3 of a second. Closing quicker and quicker. He could duck it into the inside because that's open, and Richards does leave the door open but shuts it once they get to the apex. And here we have some takers into the pits. Greg Seitz now splitting it almost exactly halfway.
I like this call by Seitz. Basically exactly what we just told Don Lee to do.
Yeah, but we usually don't see the leaders coming in this early.
Oh, and Rod Clenard, something happened to him as well.
Oh,
I don't quite know what this was.
Yeah, he suddenly, it must be some sort of hardware problem or something, because he pulls off to the side of the straight over the front stretch, and then he just pauses and takes a tow, as we now watch Brett Thurman also pitting. So where is Seitz going to go? Is he going to be stuck in traffic? No, because Rosenbaum is way back there. There's nobody in front of Seitz. Oh my goodness. Seitz actually may have timed this to perfection. There is nobody around him. He can hot lap to his heart's desire.
And a report from Rod Clenard as well. He just saying his screen went off.
Well, it's a good
Thankfully,
thing.
he was able to safely get it out of the way, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't cause an accident or anything, just calmly pulled it over. That has got to be scary. Meanwhile, I've been keeping half an eye on this because our director noticed this earlier. Kranefuss and Green closing in for what is now fourth place. It was fifth before. We could have a change for position as long as Green can get a good enough exit off of the final corner. He's right about there, 0.3 of a second behind, and as they start to pick up speed, this is looking very good for Mitchell.
It is indeed.
Down into Tamburello, but despite what we saw before, maybe a little bit more wing on Mitchell's car compared to Daniels, because he did not close as quickly as I expected. Raymond Day, in the meantime, is pitting.
You know, that seems to be the thing at this track. I think that might be one of the reasons we see such these half-second gaps between everyone. The setups here are just a little bit different. Some people opt for the downforce, some people don't. That's why we see, a place like the pit straightaway here where it's so curvy. Drivers just not able to close in on one another.
Seitz has gone by Raymond Day, who took his stop so easily back to the highest bidders. Cuero has taken a stop, but again, remember, he came in, I believe it was the first lap, the first or second lap. So he should not technically be our highest bidder. He has to come in for another stop. Watching the 55, still dealing with Green. Right on board with Mitchell now. Appropriately colored helmet just below us. So we look over his shoulder. Coming off of Ravazza.
I wonder if he's going to try to jump in the pits here. He's not. We'll stay out with him for now.
Holland did, so did Hermer. So where is Seitz? Seitz is heading up to Alta right now. And it is a long pit exit here. You have to wait a while before you get to cones where they release you.
Holland is away.
And, I just noticed Seitz had a long stop. That was 21 seconds.
Wow.
Did Seitz get it? I wonder if Seitz got an incident penalty, a stop and go. Because, wow.
Definitely could have, yeah.
There's the difference right there. A normal stop. I should have looked at that. Yeah.
It'd be about 15 seconds. So it's got it. I would think so.
So Quinn also has pitted. Cuero is back in and out for the second time today. Hermer actually finds himself in what will effectively be second. I think he's sitting 8th overall in the number 11. He's finished his pit stop, and the only car who's pitted in front of him is David Holland. He's still waiting on Kranefuss, Green, Verity, Gaillon, Duprat and Ponick to take their stops. So with Daniel inheriting the lead, he still needs to come in. And he's going to elect to do it now with about 19 minutes left on the clock. Oh, and Duprat just spun. Lionel Duprat, who had been climbing higher and higher up the field, just lost it in Alta. Here we've got the replay now. Loosed it.
Yeah. Good save slamming down on the floor.
Oh, and the rest of the drivers up at the top are pitting. Crane Foos, Screen, Verity, Guyon, Ponick. So where is Hermer going to come out in comparison with everybody? He's going to beat out Crane Foos. So yes, Sam Hermer up into second place now. And this would not be the first time that he gets a podium, I think. Yeah, he got one in round 2 and round 3. So this could be his third podium in a row if he can finish here. I think we're waiting on Christopher Richards to take his pit stop along with David Hebert, but everybody else has been in and out. So far, we have lost 5 drivers: Barnett, Santana, McDonald, Gunderson, Legault, and Prue. Got a little battle here, though, Nick. Looks like for 6 points.
Yeah, 6th place between Lucas Bacigalupo and Raymond Day. Bacigalupo is the car right in front.
Yeah, he's in the red and black. And Raymond Day is in the car that we're riding on board with now, the black and blue.
Oh, big close in there, yeah.
But if we could get a lap comparison between these two, because Raymond Day, he started in 11th, so he's not exactly out of position unless he had a poor qualifying.
He goes sliding down through Ravazza like that. That's going to definitely help. That's going to definitely help Bacigalupo in front of him. But he's got that slipstream to help him back.
Now, some of this is, of course, changed by their pit stops there, so lap 15, 16. But you can see before that Lucas was definitely gaining on him. Not gaining on him here down the front stretch, as once again, the slipstream seems to work at first, and then suddenly it goes away.
And there it is again. Just not going to be a long enough straightaway through Tamburello to get that.
This is our best battle in the field right now. Into Tosa. Now he's less than a car length back, and Raymond Day might have a good chance in a Piratella if he is aggressive. 15 minutes left to go is a long time, so this is going to be very aggressive, as he is indeed going to go to the inside into the left-hander, but swinging around the outside and keeping track position. Bacigalupo fends him off.
Yeah, impressive stuff there from Bacigalupo, and Raymond Day with a big slide through Aqua Mineral. Big catch as well.
Well, that cost him some time and quite a few car lengths. So we'll have to do that work all over again. 1 second back from Bacigalupo at this point. A little bit below them in 14th. Mitchell Green still fighting with Josh Daniels. Oh, actually, is this a 3-way fight? Yeah, Matt Quinn in there too. Ooh, down to the inside. Here comes Daniels.
Almost went a little too defensive on Daniels there. It's going to be too much, though. Daniels is going to go wide. Going to be able to keep that position in front of Mitchell Ian Green, at least for now.
Can't believe he didn't get a slowdown penalty on that one. He's going to cover him off down into Ravazza. Green looks for the long way around. No, he looks for the over-under, and it doesn't work out. Apex is blocked off by Daniels. Poor exit on the final turn brings Matt Quinn into the equation, and the trio starts to pick up speed.
Yeah, how about Matt Quinn with a big run here?
Big enough run that he's going to be fully ahead by the braking zone. Green can't have a response. Almost gets into the back of him into Tamburello. Does Quinn want one more? That's Josh Daniels that we see from on board with the red, black, and white wing.
Quinn is there. He's got the speed, just looking for a way around him. He's going to take a late apex through Tosa. Not quite able to steal that off.
Just so tantalizingly close. Quinn up from 20th here to 15th place. It's just one more to see what he can get out of this. By the way, we're down to 19 cars left on the lead lap out of the 31 starters here. And as this fight is good, we got to go back to Raymond Day because Bacigalupo is under threat. Day is going to go the long way around. They're coming up to Tamburello, wheel to wheel into the braking zone. And it looks like Day is going to decide to think better of it.
It's not the first time we've seen Raymond Day get a good run, but Lucas Bacigalupo able to hold on to this position somehow. Great driving from both of them.
Not close enough to sneak attack one up the inside of Tosa. There is a car in his mirrors. That is for position. Verity, yeah. Oh, and we've had a couple cars off. Thurman and Hebert. Is this related? Because they're both in Tamburello. No, they are not related. Let's see what happened to Thurman here in the number 69 machine.
Oh, this is interesting. Over the curbs you'll see, and you'd think that would be the one to throw him, but no, it's right there.
Yeah, it's not usually those flat ones that cause problems. I wonder if some of these spins that we're seeing, and Hebert, there you see following him off, just getting a cut course penalty because of his problems. But we haven't mentioned that it is pretty slick out today. It's kind of hot on the track surface.
Yeah, definitely over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And as I look back at that Thurman incident, I think his left rear wheel just barely touched the grass as we still have this battle for P6 going on screen.
Raymond Day side by side with Bacigalupo into the braking zone of Tamburello. This time Day's got it. He learned his lesson that time. So the 77 up to P6.
That's going to reel in Verity, though. He's right there as well. Bacigalupo, though, he's not going to be content sitting behind Day. And Day's going to go wide and come back on him and almost make contact.
Oh, Day hits the wall out of that. But Bacigalupo managed to keep the car from slipping out. There's Day. His race unfortunately might be over, and Verity's not able to take advantage of it. After we watch this onboard with Day, let's get the onboard for Bacigalupo, because he got all sorts of sketchy trying to avoid this wreck.
You know, I can't tell if Bacigalupo did miss him or if there was a little bit of net code between them. I think he's able to miss him.
Whoa, great car control from the number 84 as the car nearly swapped ends on him, but he kept it from turning around, and that's going to give him a nice 7th place if he can keep Verity back. So correct, it looks like Day had to take a tow, and he is done. That car was too damaged to continue.
I'll be interested to see if Stephen Verity can reel in Lucas Bacigalupo.
Yeah, Verity could make this even more interesting for Bacigalupo, but he's got to avoid making the same mistakes that we saw from Day. By the way, David Holland, well, without Greg Seitz to worry about, the gap is up to 9.5 seconds to Sam Hermer.
And you know, Verity there, just as you said that.
And trying to pass into Villeneuve. Not an easy feat, and Verity goes off at that corner.
It's exactly what happened to Raymond Day, only this time Verity's able to catch it.
Frantic stuff here in the final 10 minutes. They run just over a minute and a half, 4 laps. So 7 or 8 to go. For fans of Greg Seitz, he's actually not done a bad job trying to get back into things. And we like to say that it's consistency that wins championships, Nick. And, well, another podium ought to do it. He's up to 3rd.
Yeah, he's had a great drive today. Of course, that pit stop which probably came from off tracks, getting a penalty. But yeah, you're right. Seitz, nothing. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed, but really nothing to be too ashamed about coming off his win at Lime Rock, too. That's Lawrence Sebastian he just got past there.
Make note of that. Sebastian's able to keep going. He's down to 19th. Down to 16 cars left on the lead lap now. Looking through our order, we've lost quite a few in recent times. Day we mentioned, but I don't know if we mentioned a Bear or Gore who have been sitting in pit lane. I'm not sure if their presence there is related. Wind guy on, off track. This is another single car spin. Multi-car incidents have been rare here today.
Yeah, they have. He was in 8th place at the time, too. I think he only lost 1 spot. Maybe 2.
Chronic on the attack, I think
yeah, he just got passed by Duprat.
Interesting.
Yeah, Lionel Duprat looks a little bit quicker. He was all over the back of Mark. Now it looks like he might be able to pull away here for this last spot in the top 10. Well, just as I say that, Bonnick gonna go in deep there.
Right on board with Mark. They break now into Alta, blowing the car up. Ooh, he's got Bonnick right there. We can't quite see it. Or excuse me, Duprat has Pontic right there. We were right on board with Pontic. I got confused. I'd say he's got a good shot here on the front stretch. It's all going to depend on this corner right here.
Looks like they've got just that little bit of an awkward buffer like we've seen all night here.
Yeah, it seems like it's so hard to get off of Ravazza fast enough and clean enough to get the run you need, especially with it being right there that things are most ideal to try and take the position. Ahead of them, Verity and Bacigalupo still in 6th and 7th and half a second apart from one another.
Yeah, good drive for both of these guys. They both had some great pit stops and some good pit strategy to get themselves up here. And Bacigalupo, you can tell he's been driving hard all night, and he's not done. He wants this position back.
I was looking to see who our big movers are. And, well, if you ask Bill Zahn, Don Lee doesn't count since he didn't qualify, but 28th, 18th. But Matt Quinn has gone from 20th to 13th, 7 positions up for the 007.
Yeah, definitely. And just a few spots ahead of him, Mark Ponuk did the same thing, 18th to 11th. And Ponuk had 8 spots, but like we just saw a lap ago, Duprat was able to get by him for 10th place.
Change around in the order. Trying to see if Bacigalupo got overtaken and we missed it.
He did.
I think,
yeah, Verity's ahead of him.
It was into Tamburello the start of last lap. I think we have the replay, so we won't need to miss this.
Just a nice run on the pit straight, it looks like, from Stephen Verity.
right, well, there's the illustration for everybody else. That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's possible.
Getting the run. It was still tight. Man, he had to chop him off at the apex. So Bacigalupo had to give way a little bit to allow Verity to complete the pass safely and allow both of them to see the checkered flag in the end. Verity now up to P6 after starting in 10th in this field. Let's see, we've got 345, 340 left. So we're looking at maybe 2 or 3 laps left to go. Now we watch Thurman and Quinn still trying to sort out this 13th position.
Thurman just got around him too.
Ah, another one who missed out on it.
But Quinn, we've been seeing him drive aggressively all night. He kind of seems to be one of those drivers that drives better when he's chasing down someone like he is right now with Brett Thurman getting by him.
Right on board. Quinn still sees that carrot up ahead of him. Don't forget about Josh Daniels. He's the 3rd car on screen that you can see. Flip up at the very far. And that draft just not doing enough for anybody to close in. In the meantime, Holland is coming out of Ravazza, and this looks like 2 to go this time. Indeed, 2 laps left for David Holland. Boy, when he was struggling in qualifying earlier, I wonder if he had any idea that the race could go like this, that not only would he inherit the lead, but he would do so in a dominant fashion with nobody to challenge him.
Yeah, back in 2nd place. It's still a long ways back to Sam Hermer, and you can't say enough about Hermer too. He's been able to capitalize on that mistake by Seitz as well, and this is going to be a great points day for Hermer, sitting 4th. And with Cuero, who sits 3rd back in 8th place, I think this is going to bump Hermer up to the podium in the point standings.
That's a fair point. So I think Hermer could be one to watch out for if our top 2 find themselves running into trouble throughout the season. And Greg Seitz knows that that is always a possibility. Unfortunately, luck simply wasn't on his side last season, since most of the incidents wound up with him being wrecked and the other car not. Ooh, and Lionel
Pratt, yes. This is some major damage. We'll have to see what happened.
Yeah, front of the car is just gonna explode. And with about 50 seconds left on the clock, across the line, David Holland finds the white flag waving, a handy gap of 10.5 seconds. He doesn't need to push. He can take it safe from here. As you can see, our graphic now switches over to that final lap marker. Give him a little love here to the number 18. We saw some screen time with him in the early couple laps where he kept on the back of Greg Seitz. Showed him that he can still ride with him, even if he got beat last round. And even though he didn't have the pace to try and overtake, at least it didn't seem like he had it today, once those pit stops happened, it was a crucial turning point in the race. Up to Alta now, with just 2 more corners to go for Holland. And number 18 has not been given an inch to Sam Herman behind. Hermer, rather. Out of the final corner. David Holland making it 3 for 4 today. The number 18 is your victor here in Italy.
Back for second place, Greg Seitz was closing in on Hermer, but he's not going to be able to get there. Hermer is going to edge him out by about 2 seconds, and they will round out your podium together.
Oh, disappointment for Greg Seitz. I'd love to hear what happened in the pit stops, if it was, like we said, a penalty or if it was something else. David Soroy at least going to get a top 5. He's been racking good finishes up there for himself. Will be followed by Verdi and Bacigalupo. A mistake on the last lap is not unheard of, and Josh Daniels probably knows that, so he's got to be smooth from here on out. He flies down into Rata for the final time. One of the last cars on the lead lap since there's only 14. I think he's got it. I think Josh Daniels has held Brett Thurman back. Nicely done by the 69 machine. With that, we are ready for a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Imola, where we just watched round 4 in the PRL F3 Series. David Holland took his 3rd victory this season and extends his point lead over many of his rivals. Granted, most of them stayed consistent back there, so it wasn't really huge gains that he got. Sam Hermer in 2nd, his 3rd podium in a row, versus Greg Seitz, who started on pole and sadly finished in 3rd. Daniel Kranefuss with a 4th place, up from 8th, was mirrored by David Soroy going from 9th to 5th. And then very similar situation for Stephen Verity, who went from 10th to 6th position. Lucas Bacigalupo, he took a 7th place with Mauricio Cuero, coming back from early problems and still managing 8th place. Alex Gaillon, 14th to 9th. I think he had an off track at one point that we saw with Mark Koenig, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and behind them, the rest of the cars that finished on the lead lap, we've only got 4 of them, but they were all big movers. Josh Daniels, he jumped up 5 spots. Brett Thurman jumped up 7 to 12. Jumping up another 7 spots is Matt Quinn in the 007 up to 13th. And a big mover in the wrong way, Mitchell Ian Green's going to fall from 7th to 14th, just barely holding on to that lead lap.
everybody from there on down. Lap down cars or more. Fair amount of DNFs today, actually, and I'm wondering if some of them were due to incident limits being hit, which brings us to our leader, David Holland, who won today. And David, how were the incident points for you? Because we suspect that some of your rivals may have fallen afoul of those.
Yeah, hey guys, hey Joe. Yeah, on this track, it's incredibly easy to pick them up here, especially whenever you're pushing it like you have to run the fast times. Luckily, I think I kept it around 6 or so I was plenty good. But yeah, definitely easy to do here.
So obviously, may have been a bit of a surprise for you then when you were chasing Greg Seitz, and then suddenly the pit stops happened, and well, you were kind of all by yourself out in the middle of nowhere. Were you aware that he had a long stop, or did you know anything of what happened before you found yourself in the lead after pit stops were over?
No, but I suspected he picked up the 20-second repair, which is really easy to do because on this track, to be fast, you have to basically just destroy the curbs through the chicane. I mean, there's a few curbs that you really just have to completely mow over. And we realized that we were getting 2x contacts, just from hitting the ground that hard. So we raised the ride height as much as we possibly could within reason, soften the springs, had to raise it even more. So it's a compromise between being able to take those curbs like that, not pick up the damage, and still have a car that handles somewhat well under you.
We didn't even think about getting damage repaired. We kept thinking that maybe it was a incident limit thing. Now, speaking of the track itself, it looked like it was pretty hot, and we saw a lot of spins. How was the car handling today?
Yeah, it definitely was hot. And really, just due to the setup that we had to run here, it didn't matter if it was hot or cold. It never really felt right. The setups were really pretty just extreme, almost ridiculous, honestly. So yeah, the car didn't really handle that well, but that's what you had to do to keep from getting the damage and to be able to take the curbs like that. So it was definitely a handful.
Well, you handled it best out of everybody. Another victory here today, 3 out of 4. Anybody you want to thank before you head out?
Yeah, absolutely. Need to thank everyone at the team, Vintage Esports. Rod was having a great race today, but he had some equipment failure. His monitors turned off on him, so it's tough to see that. But yeah, also need to thank the sponsors, Ninja Trader and Butt Kicker, you guys at GSRC, and the league, PRL.
I was David Holland, your victor here today in Italy. And up next, Nick has caught up with Sam Hermer, who's a bit on a streak right now here at the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. His last podium came just 2 weeks ago at Montreal. He does one better than third place, though, today. Sam, congratulations. You've hit that second step. Talk about how it was out there at Imola.
Hi. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a second place. I think Greg should have got it, but I think there's something major happening with his car. Pretty ordinary race, really, apart from, I don't know what happened to Rod, but I don't know if you guys picked it up, but I almost smashed straight into the back of him. Yeah, that was terrifying. I was obviously on the straight. You kind of look down at your relative, you look at your lap time, and I was like looking down at my relative, looking at the gaps behind me, and then just looked up and saw he was just stopped. So he must have had like an equipment failure, but that was scary, yeah.
Yeah, he had a screen blackout, we believe, from what we can gather. That was definitely frightening for you, but you held on to it. Was that pretty much your only bit of action today? I think you had a pretty good start as well in this race.
Did I? I'm not sure. I think I'd had a terrible... Well, I had an all right start, but I got overtaken by Rod at the beginning. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be faster than him. I was faster than him in qualifying by like 0.2 or 0.3 or something. And I was sort of catching him and losing him. There was a lot of wind out there, actually. I heard you guys were talking about the temperature, but the wind was really played a factor in today. Weirdly enough, it was a high wind into like aqua minerale and stuff like that. It was pretty tricky.
Wow, yeah, we didn't really pay attention to the wind much. Is that kind of one of the reasons why maybe passing was just so difficult here? Or was dirty air, the wake from the cars in front, another factor in that?
I don't know. It depends, really. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with entirely different setups from one another. It's been evident in the officials all week that some people are running really high downforce And some people like me and Greg and others like Mitch, we're all running really low downforce. So it may be something to do with that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things about a track like this. You can have a little variability in the setups. It's always fun to watch play out with the engineering. But Sam, you did finish second. I know you said it doesn't feel much like a second place, but congratulations regardless of that. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Well, just thanks to Greg for creating an amazing setup this week. It's been intimidating people in the officials like since 4 days ago. People have been watching him like on live streams going, how the hell is he going that fast? So just cheers to Greg for making an amazing setup.
It certainly paid off. Hopefully it does the same next week at Road Atlanta, where hopefully we can talk to you again.
Cheers. Thank you.
That was Sam Hermer, our second place finisher, whereas Greg Seitz went from the pole down to third, unfortunately, today. And Greg, let's put the conspiracy theories to rest. Was it damage? Was it incident limit? What caused the long pit stop?
Yeah, I picked up, I guess, some damage, and I had a 19-second required repair, so that certainly cost me the race since I ended up losing by, I think, 12 seconds in the end. So that was really unfortunate. And then what was really weird was in the second half after I came out, I started getting water temperature warnings. So I think one of our mechanics left a rag in the air intake.
Interesting. Well, that's not something you want to hear, obviously, but that's got to be frustrating, especially knowing you had the pace. I mean, what do you do when you get these sort of things where it seems like the racing gods just never seem to smile upon you? Because you've got pace now. You beat him last week. You were faster than him in qualifying, and in the race today, it seems like things have got to turn around eventually.
Yeah, you would think so. But yeah, it's just, I have had some bad luck, and, hopefully things will turn around. But, that doesn't take anything away from David. He's a great competitor and definitely deserved the win. He did a great job as usual. And my teammate as well, Sam, really proud that he got up there as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, I seem to have really bad luck in this league.
Well, let's take our minds off the luck then. What about skill when it comes to Road Atlanta? That could be another one that bites drivers really hard. Do you consider it a specialty track for you?
I think I'm pretty good there. I beat David there last season, so that's a good sign. Yeah, just hoping that the racing gods smile on me on that one. So yeah, I've generally been pretty competitive there, so hopefully I'll be able to do that again. And let's hope our mechanics are do a little better job prepping the car this time.
All right. Well, again, commiserations, but at least it's another podium to keep those points going, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week.
Yeah, that's great. I'm actually pretty happy because as a team, Sam's my teammate, so as a team we did really well. I think it might have vaulted us into the lead for the team standings, which is at least consolation.
Yeah, great news there for Greg Seitz, who was our third place finisher here today. But we've got to wrap up, and so we need to thank our sponsors before we go, starting things off with Ninja Trader. Make sure and check them out at ninjatrader.com if you want to see what they can do for you, along with Butt Kicker, and they are at thebuttkicker.com if you want to try and improve your racing rig. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Make sure and subscribe to the channel when you get an opportunity. But thank you goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel. And Instagram is GSRC_RAM. As we said, we're heading to Road Atlanta for the next round. That'll be Thursday, April 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern. But get ready for Vegas here in just a few minutes as we head over to the IndyCar Throwback Series. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.